you're not just saying things without facts to back it up. And so you truly have proven how profits can, go up when you put these types of,
It makes so much sense. Yeah. I don't get never mind.
We could go on a whole tangent. Trust me, we could go on a whole tangent with that.
Let's talk Tales.
Today's guest on Tales with Taylor is a true trailblazer and the definition of a positively powerful woman, owning not one, but 3 companies that change lives and businesses for the better through presentations, trainings, books, coaching, speaking, and events. She has developed transformational leaders, unified diverse teams, and breakthrough performance results that make an impact. Her companies are Triad West for OD consulting and leadership development, Positively Powerful Education Summits and Women Awards conferences, dedicated to acknowledging the accomplishments of women in ways that empower all people, and last but not least, the 501c3 Positively Powerful Development Corporation. It's the very busy Dr. Joelle Martin. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Taylor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah.
I love your studio, and I've been looking forward to today's conversation.
Yes, well, I've been so looking forward to having you here too, because I've had the pleasure of witnessing your excellence.
Thank you.
So tell me the tale that made you want to start the Positively Powerful Education Summit, the awards, and now the 501c3.
My mission has always been the same. I seek to elevate people, to inspire excellence, and to really, like you said, change lives and businesses for the better. And I moved here with my husband, who's a painter, about 20 so years ago. That's in Scottsdale, because I'm sure you're broadcasting internationally now. But I brought with me my transformational leadership and my DE&I competencies from 20 plus years back. But then I got here and I started meeting some incredible women. And because I was raised by 2 awesome women, my mother and her best friend, I said, I got to do something for those unsung heroes. Well, they're not really unsung heroes. They're women who are leading organizations, legacy organizations, making a difference in all sorts of areas, spiritual. We have ministers, we have arts and culture, corporations represented, nonprofit leaders. And I wanted to give back. And because I'm an entrepreneur, make it a business entity. So that's how Triad West became the base for Positively Powerful. The nonprofit was something I always wanted to do. I believe that this is a legacy opportunity to bring funds and resources and leadership and training and excitement to women and all people, but women are my sweet spot. That's my target audience. Aspirational women and women like yourself who are already acclaimed and doing great work, you're set, I wanted to make the world better through women.
That's excellent.
That's
Have you always had that focus? Has it always only been women? Or, did your career start elsewhere and perhaps maybe more of a man's world, one would think?
Yeah. No, my career started, I've always been in a purpose-driven way. My family is a big family, although I was raised by a single mom as an only child. I've always wanted to do good things. And my mother was an awesome lady, obviously.
Must be, yeah, because you're an awesome woman.
Well,
so.
Yes, thank you. She told me 2 things, Joelle. You are going to go to college and you can be the president of anything you want. And I am of the generation that affirmations like that meant that my mother and I had overcome great hurdles to have those dreams come true. Because I grew up, like I say in some of my presentations, I grew up without the P and the O of poor. I was po, So it mattered. So I haven't always wanted to serve women. I grew up in a family environment that included a lot of incredible, positively powerful women before that that was even coined, I had a full service advertising agency. And similarly to you, I started that company when my daughter was a baby. I fell in love, I got married, and I heard that the first 3 years of your child's life are the most important. So I quit. I was working in a full service advertising agency at the time. I was an art director doing videos and what have you. Not videos, but commercials. And I asked myself, did I want my daughter to have the best beginning I could possibly give her? Now, I'm married at all this time, so Bobby's doing his thing in import-export before I became a painter. So I stayed home for the first 3 years, and then we lived outside of New York City. And then I picked her up and put her on one of those little things here.
Oh, those Bjorns?
Yeah.
Oh, James lived in the Bjorn the first year. He was on set all the time.
See?
Especially when they can't talk. So you can stay quiet on set.
I know. So I took her with me, and I started getting clients. Ashanti Bazaar in New York City was my first one. And I kept doing work. And it was almost like my work started growing as Sabelle started growing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Right. Your two babies start growing together, basically. Yeah.
And then one thing led to another. And then the Minority Supplier Development Council, by then, it was just starting to be. All right. And I met a lot of really cool people that worked there and created collaborations. And one thing led to another. And I had a full service ad agency when I looked up. Some years later, we were winning beaucoup awards and doing incredible programs that elevated and created respect. And it was important to me that people who had been disenfranchised and considered marginalized, they be presented in such a way that was empowering. So I didn't start with women. I started with my commitment to elevate and create respect.
I love it.
Yeah, like one of the campaigns that that led to us being agency of record for Anheuser-Busch and creating a new beverage product was Being Black in America, a Real Picture. And at that time, there weren't a lot of ad campaigns that focused on that perspective, being a real picture. And it was this, I'll have to send it to you. I love it. It got a lot of awards. It did a lot of good. It moved AD from number 8 to number 2, because of the advertising campaign. And of course, from that one, it's a little kid. It's all in black and white. A little kid combing its grandmother's hair. Aww. It's an exquisitely done photograph that I bought and used to, be the lead campaign on it. So from there, we went to different visions and ultimately got Black-Owned Communications Alliance, which at that time was getting, our media like Essence and Black Enterprise and so on. They were not getting advertisement from white-owned companies because of the racism in those days, So, here we go. Yeah. Got to do my thing. Let's elevate the message.
Yes.
Let's create respect and dignity for people who are not getting it, I feel. And then, short story, I walk into this training room and discovered, after going through all of their different programs, their transformational leadership programs, that my heart led in serving people in a way that, yes, created revenue, created income, and elevated, inspired. So again, it still wasn't women. By then it was transformational leadership mastery trainer around the world to 13 countries doing that kind of work that I love to do. Came back here. I think it's funny. My family, I would kind of get a chuckle from it. I had my last transformational leadership training in Asia. I was in Shanghai, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Shenzhen. And I'm there for these trainings, taking people from the ordinary to the extraordinary and doing the experiential education and so on and so forth, that some of which you've seen me do. And that was January the 8th. I was scheduled to fly home. I did not know at that time, in 2020 what was going on in the world. You know, all I knew is that one of my team members was going around the room with this temperature gauge. I had no idea what he was doing, Taylor.
Right. Yeah, especially in January 2020. Like, what are you doing here?
Right. So I get on the plane. I land just before they say you cannot come in the country because of COVID.
Oh, my.
So there you have it. There went all my corporate contracts internationally, and I needed to do a real quick pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I started doing transformational leadership, ultimately led to women.
Mm-hmm.
They said, I have got to continue living this, you know. So it's taking different manifestations from lifting the image of corporations, creating, respecting, and dignified campaigns that are for all people, that relate to all people, because who hasn't been ignored at some point? Doing executive coaching in different ways. And now what I'm looking to do through my nonprofit is to leave that legacy present. So I've been doing it corporate-wise, and I'm looking forward to, I got a great team on my board. Nice. I'm looking forward to saying, how can I elevate this and create this using this? Because I hold each as a business model. I can't help myself, Taylor. So this is a new business model for me to tackle. Plus, I love learning and getting out there and creating things. So now, does that tell you everything you want to know?
Not everything, actually, no. So, it sounds like you have such a strong, figure in your life as a child. Your mother telling you those things that you could do anything. Unfortunately, not everyone has that.
That's true.
However, were there maybe tales that you wish you would have told your younger self more?
Oh, for sure. For sure. The one that comes to mind real quick is that I was in a situation where I was sexually abused. And I wished that I had the courage to tell my mother that, Mom, this is what's going on with me. This is going on with this. I don't want to say too much, but in any event, this is what's going on for me in this situation. Because after time passed, I said, Mom, did you know what was going on? She said, you should have told me. So as young people, I would have told my younger self, be courageous now. I was scared. I didn't, we didn't have a roof over our head. She was living one place, I was living somewhere else, and I didn't want to have her be hurt. Because I knew, even at that young age, she was doing everything she could. So I would have told my younger self to be courageous. I told my younger self, no matter what, don't get pregnant. Anything else? The one thing about my education, I think I gave up too early for my dream to be a mathematician. It shows up in different ways, but when I was in school, I was a math major, and then I went to Ohio State University, and I didn't hang in there for the courses. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a tutor. I don't know if it was available to us in those days, but I would have told my younger self, look, if you want to be a mathematician, if you want to major in math, do not give up. If you want to be a teacher, go for it. Yeah. So those kinds of things.
Well, you still can. Hey, talk to my dad. He's a mathematician.
Is he?
Yes. That's what he has a PhD in. So you can definitely chat with him.
I'm done. I would love to talk to your dad. That would be great. I would love to talk to him.
There you go.
But I gotten proposals to come and do things, and it seems like the prerequisite for some of these things that people are inviting me to do require me to give up 6 months, require me to do this, require this. I said, no. I have a bachelor's in education from visual arts in the field of visual communication. I have a master's in psychology. I have a PhD in communication. I ain't going for no more education like that. I want to make a difference with what I have, and I will learn You know that expression about flying out of a plane, and then I can't remember what it is, but something about you will learn on the way.
Oh, you'll learn how to fly. Yeah, kind of like a bird, you know? That's how
Yeah.
birds fly. You just jump off and then you'll figure it out as you go down.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah,
excellent.
that's the school I want now.
All right. Well, for those of us that are watching that, that are figuring it out, maybe they are starting their business. You've started 3 successful businesses, or more than that, actually. So what would be some of the tips you would give to people who are trying to start out on their own?
Okay. If you're trying to start on your own business, collaborate. Find the organizations that support the business that you're interested in, like the women-owned organizations, like supplier development councils, like small business administration. And there's a really great program that I've found here in Arizona. So go to the state where you want to launch your business. There are so many free programs and people who have grants to have businesses be successful. Also, take some time to learn your sweet spot, to learn what it is. Why is it that this person that I'm talking to now, why is it they want to start that business? There has got to be something that's going to drive you, as I lovingly say, through the eye of the needle.
Yeah.
What is your why? Also, don't forget collaborations. One of the things that I had the good fortune to do is I worked with an organization that I then was able to continue on my own. So I worked for a major advertising agency because I loved art, I love design, I find it very therapeutic.
Yeah, creative. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of working there, and I had a great boss. Gave me a lot of opportunity.
That's nice. You very rarely hear that, I feel.
Well, I think we can make our bosses great. If we're going in and being our authentic selves. It's not about taking over someone's job. It's about really having a presence and a purpose and a professional attitude. So I had all that. Plus, in art, I had a fabulous copywriter, and, Alphabet Rock came out of their shop. It was in the days where advertising, I'm hoping advertising is still like this. But in any event, I worked there and I learned how advertising is done, the production side of it, the creative side of it, so that when I, bits and pieces, put mine together with our dear daughter on my tummy, I had an idea of what to say. Yeah, so also get a good coach.
Yes.
I love that. I have one client. I was at an event and I was sitting next to her and I was looking at how wonderfully she was dressed because, of course, I love fashion. And we got in this conversation and she started telling me, she says, she works for a utility company. I said, you do? She said, yeah. Her mother was a seamstress and she's always wanted to sew and make clothes. Nice. I said, okay, so you know me, Taylor. So what's stopping you?
Yeah, stopping.
Exactly, right? And so ultimately I became her coach, her executive coach. I like to say executive coach, even for somebody who's an ultimate rookie, because
they're still a CEO though. They still have to be the CEO, CFO, CMO.
Well, or whatever. But beyond that, I'm about elevating people to their magnificence. So when I coach from, I know in my heart of hearts where we're going on this. Trust me. I know what I care. I know what I'm doing. I've been there, done that. I've been that person. And I create that trust and elevation because I really do see the vision in people. Yeah, so she's got her company going now, and she's making her clothes, and she tells me she has some clients. And
nice.
I've gotten her and our relationship to the point where she's now at another level of professional coaching. So excellent. That's what I like.
So professional coaching, events, how are all the different ways that people can work with your excellence?
Thank you. Well, executive coaching for sure. Being a like you're one of our prized people to work with. I have a team of various prize people that I love working with that are accountable. That's another way. So a vendor might be out there and saying, well, I've got a product and service I want you to know about. I have similar values: integrity, deliverability, responsibility. I would like to talk to you. That's another way. Also, nominations for Positively Powerful Women. Self-nominations are possible. I think that is going to be going to the end of the month. Being that. The other part, there's a lot of speakers that I know you know, that we know collectively, who could be there for my education summit. That's
Which is
one way.
so good, by the way. Like, it's really, I feel like I've attended so many events, and some of them call themselves education summits, but you don't actually walk away with anything tangible.
Really?
To do. But yours, you do. Yours, you do. Yours, you walk away with, oh, I got to get my LinkedIn together. I got to do this. Oh, you actually walk away with things and not just a feeling of, it's truly actually an education summit. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you for making sure you always have people who are giving value and giving information.
Yeah, that's the spirit behind it.
Yeah. I
want people, the other thing, in addition to what you're saying, I want people to walk away knowing that there's a miracle in attending for them. I know there are some organizations that's I don't know them because I don't belong to them, but they're very territorial, they don't want any competition. No, when people walk into my room, my space, I want them to collaborate. I want them to have a good time, be inspired, take out your business card, do that. Yeah, so that's very important to me. I hope that that you have gotten work directly from some of my clients that come in, or my guests. I hope that you have. I hope that every woman that I have the privilege of working with, and pretty much for the Positively Powerful Women Awards, it's just women specialists. So that's another way. Organizations really, really benefit from my services. That's like in bringing together teams of people. One of the programs I have is for municipality. I do their onboarding of all employees. And because of my international experience, because of my commitment and passion for people and skills level, I like working with teams that need breakthrough performance. I had a mentor who was the chief learning officer for a major international consulting firm. Again, put yourself in a place with people who you want to know and emulate. That's that other tip again. And I learned so much from him. And it's going into that kind of situation with your knowing the skills that you bring to their party. So it's a two-way deal. And we did that. So that part of it is very, very important in the world going forward. I know there's some pushback on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I don't think that is the work. That pushback is not to the work that I do. I'm a transformational leadership specialist who delivers proven methodologies for breakthrough performance for teams.
And you have stats to back everything up. I've had the pleasure of being the, AV producer on some of your presentations, and you're not just saying things without facts to back it up. And so you truly have proven how profits can, go up when you put these types of,
it makes so much sense. I don't get never mind.
We could go on a whole tangent. Trust me, we could go on a whole tangent with that. And so 13 countries you've visited, you said. Of those, which one was your favorite to visit and why?
I love going to Paris because I love walking. I love looking at people. I love being able to sit outside and watch. I just have a passion for people and fashion.
Yes.
Everywhere I go, I think it's the same thing. I love working in, because I go on business. And I occasionally get a little time to myself. I like Malaysia a lot.
I've heard that.
Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur has got one of the most diverse cultures that I've ever experienced. And it's a very warm, with the people that I work with, I always work with the same sorts of people there. They may be different culturally, but as I heard in the awards presentation yesterday, same. I work with people who are looking to change lives and businesses for the better. Those are my clients. I can't imagine working with anyone that doesn't believe that. And if I did, I would. I did have one tech company that I won't say their name, but their new name begins with an M, and it wasn't a fit.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fit for them, and I did my best. They did their best. It just didn't work out.
And sometimes that happens, and people need to be okay with recognizing that, which is really tough, I feel, when you're first starting in business.
For sure. Yeah. So I loved Malaysia. Thinking about some of the interesting times that I've had in Asia. I also love London.
Okay.
Yeah, I love London. That was one of my fun trips while my mom was alive. She had her dream for me, and I had my dream for her. I wanted to take her to Europe and everything, treat her first class, and I did. I got to do that.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, my daughter went with us, and I love London for their humor. I love walking cities, being a New Yorker. Yeah. So those are my 3 favorite places. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
I got others that I want to get to, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, so we'll get there, and then we'll talk about those once you've been there. It's so funny you say because you're in New York. I do feel, I'm originally from New York and grew up in Maryland. I feel like East Coasters are walkers. When my girlfriends and I hang out, we'll walk to wherever it needs to be. We don't need to get in a car. And then my husband's from the Midwest. He's like, don't you want to drive there? I'm like, just walk. It's right there. It's just a couple blocks, What's 5 blocks? I don't care. This is so true. It seems like East Coasters are much more prone to just walk it.
Yes.
Because it is faster sometimes than waiting for that taxi or waiting for, or trying to maneuver with a car.
It certainly is more interesting and fun, like in New York, you can be walking along the street and there's a street fair, or there's, look at that shop. Oh, I wonder what kind of food they have, that kind of thing. Yeah. And there's so many museums. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yes. That's where, so I grew up mostly in Maryland though. So going to DC, now, being on the West Coast, when people say they want to go back east, I actually do recommend DC over New York because of the Smithsonian, because of the Air and Space Museum. Like there's so many museums
That's true.
Right there.
Yeah.
And so, I do love DC for that aspect.
So how do you compare living here in Arizona with that experience?
Well, I've been living in Arizona since 2009. So I've been living here for quite some time. And I chose to come to Arizona because I wanted to get away from the snow, cold, humidity, and at the time, very expensive living in comparison. But when I moved here in 2009, oh my goodness, I was amazed at how far my bank account got around here. So, it was a calculation of really, I think, mental health, of wanting to have blue skies and the sunshine. And I thought I was going to go to California and do Hollywood and movies. And I started working at a video marketing company, and I was like, okay, this is fun. I get to meet a lot of people.
Can I ask you a question? I know this is a conversation. How did you start doing this practice that you have? You're leading to this incredible studio. How did that happen? I know my journey. What was yours?
Well, thank you for asking. So it actually started in Maryland in high school. I attended a national competition. It was called Skills USA, and girls in the director's chair. So we did a PSA in New York. We had the premiere in LA, met Jessica Alba, the director of Wings, met a bunch of people, and I just fell in love. I used to want to go into journalism. However, I was seeing journalism dying. I was seeing the newspapers dying. Everything was, I remember the beginning of YouTube and just seeing that revolution of videos and easily accessible videos. And so I graduated high school with certifications with nonlinear editing and video production. So I'd say since 14, 15 years old, I've been pretty focused, tracked on video. There was maybe a little sideline here and there where I thought I was just going to stay in Maryland and work as a manager at a restaurant. And no, thank you. Right? And then, one day you just wake up and I have to thank my late grandmother saying, you're young enough to mess up. If you go to Arizona and it doesn't work out,
you're young enough to mess up. I love that.
So that was definitely the catalyst, I'd say. Okay, Grandma, I'll give it a shot.
That. I have to use that quote. I'm finishing up a book that has taken me ultimately a long time in my estimation, but any of it. That's a great quote.
Well, there you go. You feel free to use it because that's exactly. I felt strong with that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am young enough to miss it. Why not? You know, I'm only 20 years old. You know, let's do this. Fine. You know, and
good for you.
I fell in love, literally. You know, finding my husband and 2 kids later. So
yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing
You're
that.
very welcome.
Yeah.
So and then my husband and I, we've had this business since 2014, and you know, I just love that I get to meet amazing people like yourself and learn from you, and you know, help make the world hopefully a better place.
I love that. So you know, I see. I'm looking at our time together. As an executive coachy kind of person who is very vision oriented, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself still owning the business. I do not have an intent to sell that soon. However, much more in that CEO seat, in being the leader for our team members, you know, having W-2 employees, not just the W-9 employees, you know, having a fully functioning business where I'll still go on set from time to time, you know, depending on the particular event or the particular production.
I feel it coming up.
So I'll show to yours, you know, but
studio head.
The studio head. That is where I see in 5 years. And so,
absolutely.
And it's starting. So we're starting to build the team. And, you know, I almost feel bad sometimes when clients are like, okay, I'll see you on Tuesday. And I'm like, no, you're going to see, you know, Simon and Eric or James and Emily. And, you know, so I feel sometimes bad about it, but it's the only way to grow. If I'm doing everything, there's only so much that can get done. So
I know.
So
You love to hang on to some things though.
Yes. And I'm going to definitely show up and, you know, be there for people whom I just want to maybe even see for a moment, you know? So maybe it's right before your show starts. I go, all right, let's have a great show. Or I can just sit in the audience more so than behind the camera. So I'm also looking forward to things like that, participating more.
That's great.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you're writing a book. What is the title of that tale?
Let's see. It's had many different titles, but it is The Positively Powerful Woman's Way.
Okay. Well, please make sure you send me a link to it so we can add it to the show notes. We're going to make sure that we have all the backlinks to all of your content.
I will.
And then tell me, you know, as someone who's writing a book, you've probably read a few books, or I love listening to books on Audible. What's the favorite tale you've ever read or heard?
It's interesting. There is one book that is my standby best friend, and that is... oh my gosh, I have it on my Kindle, you know, and it's that book. I'll send it to you if you want to include it. That'd be fine.
I'll put a link on there. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So what's a message from that book then? What's a message from your favorite book?
She has a way of writing that brings together. She's it's called a metaphysician from the 1920s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. She has a way of bringing the religious side of the Bible together with the affirmation side of more New Age.
Okay.
She was an awesome lady. So I love her book. I'm also reading some of the books that led to, what is that series? I love to read. I got about 5 or 6 books that I'm reading. But in any event, what's the series of with the dragons? What's that?
Oh, Earth and Fire, something. Game of Thrones series.
Right. I'm reading all those.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Of course, Harry Potter. I had to read all those. When I read, it's a bit of between escapism and business.
Yeah, a little bit of fantasy. And I bet with your philosophy degree, you can really look at the nuances of the character development and things and actually have a little more fun with that.
Right. I do.
That is excellent. That is excellent. And what about your favorite, movie you've ever seen? What's that favorite tale is that? What's your favorite movie?
I love movies. So
I would say your daughter works with movies.
Yeah. I can just about watch anything. And they used to tease me. I'm much better about it. They said, yeah, mom will cry at anything. But,
I think it's the kids' fault. I will tell you, I was much stronger pre-kids. Now post-kids, any little something on the TV, I'm just bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
It's so odd, you hear a little boy say, like, I love my mom. Like, I'll watch a football interview and they'll just talk about, oh, my mom drove me all the practices. I'm like, she sure did. She sure did. It's like, it just gets you.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful. So I'm very proud of my daughter.
Yeah.
She gave up a lot of human comforts to be a cinematographer. Mm-hmm. And now she is finally in the Society of American Cinematographers, ASC. American Society of Cinematographers. That's it. She, just number. But in any event, I'm very proud of her. Yeah. She's one of 2 Black women in that society that's been around for 150 years. So
that's and it's a male-dominated industry, and I'm sure having the strength of a powerful mom like yourself just fueled her. I can imagine. Mm-hmm. That's excellent.
She says that, and her father as a painter. So
yes,
we weave it in her in some way or another, but she is her own person. Yeah.
And so other than the Bjorn, for moms who want to have a successful business, what would be another suggestion you would have for them?
For what?
For mothers who want to also be successful in business. We both mentioned the beauty of the Bjorn. I look in the show notes. We highly recommend Bjorns. But other than the Bjorn, what would be one of those either tools or tips or mindsets about being a successful and present mom, but also a successful business owner and entrepreneur?
Yeah. Don't forget who you are and whose you are. Don't lose yourself, really. That was a lesson that I learned. And being married, even, don't lose yourself. Mm-hmm. Be keeping your eye on your own personal prize. And that is your dignity, your integrity, your love for yourself, your love for your family, your vision for the future. Don't give up that vision that you have. It's going to show up some way, shape, or form. And then if not in you, it'll show up in your child.
Yes, love that.
And enjoy life. My gosh, take on that thing about self-care. That's so important. Health,
It's so true, because when days that you're sick, you recognize more than ever, wow, I can't help my family because I can't help myself. So that's so true. Self-care
is key.
Yes.
And whatever situation, whatever person you love, just remember why you love them when the hits the fan. That's big. It takes a commitment. I've been married for quite some time. And people say, well, how do you stay together? And I said, well, I've been married to Bob Martin, 5 different Bob Martins.
Oh.
There was the one I met when I was in advertising. There was the one I met, I say it with loving humor.
Yeah.
But, we hung in there and we support each other in his painting and me in running a business. And that's so important. You need to be committed if you truly want to be with that person, whether you're married or not. It gets easier when you are committed and you see the prize that he is, or she is, depending on the situation, and they acknowledge the prize that you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so important.
I love that line. I fell in love with 5 different Bob Martins. I love that. It's so true, because people change, life changes, and opinions can change, but typically, core morals always stay the same, and so that never changes. But you just kind of re-fall in love with each other or rediscover things. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite date location you go to, or?
Yeah, home.
Love that. Yes. Yes. Yeah, for my relationship, that's very much the case, because I'm a vegetarian and Eric's like a meatitarian. So going out, a meatitarian.
Carnivore.
Yes, very much so. And so, it's very difficult to go out. So, staying home. Ooh,
I don't mind going out, but I like, I have a pattern now. Like yesterday, I just won an award.
I wanted to bring that up too.
Oh,
yes. What was that award? Come on.
Diversity champion. It was the city of Scottsdale's community for celebrating diversity, and it was an honor. Really was named for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, my hero, and that inspiration, is ingrained in me. He died tragically.
Yeah,
and in his short life, he gave us everything. I can say. I don't know everything, but for sure, I went to I volunteered for the Poor People's Campaign. I did a lot of work for the nonprofit organizations in New York, so, and that spirit of his has really, really been part of who I am, we all have that person that we hold to be our hero. Like, who's a hero for you?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Dr. Martin Luther King. I was literally just listening to a little bit of a bio on him, and I just started crying. Another situation where I don't know if it's the emotion of just really, he was in his 30s. Mm-hmm. I'm in my 30s. And so it's just putting myself like literally in those shoes and just thinking about how courageous and brave he was, but yet what I've always been connected was the peacefulness of it, the peaceful protest, the fact that you'd want it to be like, I am all about peace, love, and happiness and harmony. And it's just like, you were staring, down barrels at times and just with people with hate, but yet you didn't have hate in your heart. And I just feel like that's so strong to not have hate in your heart when there's hate just at you. It's just, recently, that's just one of those recent things I re-listened to. And I'm like almost crying now again, just like thinking about just how just powerful, Yeah.
The speaker for the awards, with the awards was Bakari Sellers. And he gave a quote at the end of his presentation. He is a wonderful storyteller, a brilliant man, best 40 under 40s. Mm-hmm. Look him up and be inspired. And it was the message he left us with so many messages. It was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I hope everybody gets to learn about this young man. It was how do you love someone who doesn't love you back? And we live in a society now, God willing, and I pray for this, that I don't want to be political here, but I experience there is so much hate in the world that is a conversation that people are having rather than, and that the quiet essence of Dr. King, who had to stand up against that violence and hate. Mm-hmm. And that is with us today. And I see the disenfranchisement of people. And I want, needless to say, if I had a magic wand, I'd say poof, and the world would change, but it's not going to.
Yes.
How do I teach and learn, whether I'm working for the city of Chandler and their onboarding process, or the city of Scottsdale, I'm working with any of our corporations. How do I go into, now that's where my transformational leadership stuff comes out. How do I go into that and pull out the essence of humanity for the people that I work with? That's my gift. And that's when I'm talking to somebody, I'm looking at somebody, I'm looking at you, looking at your face, and so expressive. Yeah. It's like, how can I serve that person? And I become their wall. So that when they want to turn back and say, I can't go any further, I say,
That's what a good coach does. Good coach.
All right. Yeah. So in any event, I am hungry to get more work like that.
Okay.
Hungry to work with corporations. And I say, and executive women. And I say that because I'm looking at where can I make who has got the biggest footprint?
Yeah.
Who can I create at this level and have a triple B? I can get more people involved that way. So
yes.
That's your friend.
I love it. As we come to a close, I know you've already given us so many great nuggets, so many tips. What would be the one tale you'd want to leave with people? One message, one bit of hope, one aspiration, one call to action.
One call to action. Never give up your dream. Do whatever it takes to get your dream. And just know that there are many ways that you can get to whatever it is, or many paths, with the intention, with that strong intention, miracles do happen. Never give up that strong intention, that power, that purpose that you feel inside. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. And I say, when you were a kid looking up at the stars, what were you dreaming about? Go there.
Excellent. Thank you so very much. So everyone, don't stop dreaming. Go for your goals, and let's just be a little kinder to each other. We should all just be a little kinder, and always come out with love. For me, I always love until you give me a reason not to. So I think that's a good motto to stick with. And
I think so.
Thank you so very much for taking your time
Taylor.
today.
Thank you for your gift and for making this whole thing possible.
Definitely.
Manifesting people's dreams in ways that they can appreciate themselves and others. That's great.
Oh, well, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you back.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.